Yo, so I've onboarded over 400 clients into my marketing agency, and I want to run you through my exact process to do so, because I found that this is probably one of the most important things that can help you increase client retention, make more money from your clients every month, so you can upsell them in the onboarding process. They have confidence that you can actually deliver, and you can get referrals, reviews, testimonials way easier. So I want to run you through the process that I've been through that's took me way too fucking long to understand and realize and perfect, because we've had a lot of clients churn, whether we like it or not. And a lot of our churn came down to the foundation, which the foundation of a really good client relationship and keeping a client for years instead of weeks or months is the onboarding process. So I want to run you through this fancy diagram here, how it works, why it works, some of the most common pitfalls. So let's dive in. So again, the moment a client pays you is when they're most excited about working with you. It's also when they're most likely to question their decision. And clients decide whether they're going to buy from you again within the first 48 hours of giving you money. And if you haven't heard of Hormozi's closer framework, which is the closer framework, clarify why they're there, label them with a problem, overview their past pain, sell them on the vacation, explain away their concerns, and the R, which is what we're going to be covering today, reinforce their buying decision. That is, within the first 48 hours of somebody paying you money, they're going to decide if they would ever pay you money again, okay? And I get a shit ton of questions from people in my program and people that I've been consulting personally in the agency game. And they come to me and they go, Cameron, I've had a client who said they want to go in another direction. We haven't even launched yet. What do I do? And a lot of the time, it comes down to onboarding, because onboarding is the foundation of a really good client relationship. And chances are, again, it's not necessarily because the client was the problem. It's probably because you, the agency owner, was the problem. Your onboarding process was sloppy, it was unprofessional, and it probably made the client think twice about the money they paid you. If it's your first couple of clients that you're onboarding, even more so, because you don't have anything SOP'd, nothing is structured, you don't have a very clear process. So I want to run through our process, and I think it'll probably help you. And the quote that I always tie back to when it comes to onboarding clients is, you can't build a skyscraper on the foundations of a 2-story house, and your clients will churn if you do not crack the onboarding process. So don't think this doesn't matter, it's just new clients and then fulfillment. Onboarding is the most important piece of the puzzle, in my personal opinion, because if you sell a client and there's a shit onboarding, it doesn't matter how good results you get them if they don't even get there. It's kind of like running an ad and having a really good body in the ad, meaning your offer is insane and you have an insane body in the video, but the hook is shit. If the hook is shit, nobody's even going to get to see the body. If your onboarding is shit, everybody's going to churn and nobody's even going to see the good level of fulfillment that you have. So this is why this is so important. And this is why I've created a 2-year-old diagram here to explain this visually. I can tell you from first-hand experience, an incredible onboarding process can be the difference between the client staying for a few weeks, then hopping to another agency, or staying for a few years. And this is the way that you want to see it, because most people, this is what their onboarding process looks like. They build their foundation on 3 wooden pillars, which doesn't set the foundation, doesn't set clear expectations, doesn't give the client any level of clarity around what they've actually paid for. And then there's a skyscraper, which is me, your competitor, if you're in MedSpa, or any other niche that anybody that I work with is in. And they're building a foundation of a skyscraper, which means each layer of this skyscraper is visualizing how many months the client's going to stay with you. Client's not going to stay with you very long if your onboarding is shit. That is the bottom line. And again, I can tell you from first-hand experience, after churning a lot of clients and onboarding a lot of clients and retaining a lot of clients for years on end, the onboarding process can be the difference between a client staying for a few weeks, then going and finding another agency and giving you some bullshit excuse why they're leaving, or staying for years on end. And a couple of things to keep in mind when onboarding clients is, there's 3 main things in its purpose. Number 1 is to establish leadership so they have confidence that you can solve their problem, to build a meaningful relationship with the client, and to collect all the information you need on their business. And you should go into the onboarding process with the client's intention and goals in mind. The client should always leave the onboarding process thinking, I understand the constraints in my business and see the path to success. They understand their goals, their targets, how they can get there. I really like who I'm working with. They should love you or your client success manager, whoever they're working with and whatever level you're at in the agency. And I have full confidence that these guys can help me. And I know exactly what the agency is working on to help me from now to the launch process. So over communication is really key. Now, the most common reasons that I see most people lose clients in the first 90 days, if I just put this full screen, is number 1, the handoff gap. So most agencies have a disjointed handoff between sales and fulfillment. This isn't as much of a problem if you don't have like a sales team and a client success team, but as you hire sales reps and then you hire client success managers in whatever order, you're going to have a disjointed handoff. Chances are the sales rep is going to oversell the product and the client is going to come in with unrealistic expectations on what results they're going to get. Whether we like it or not, Salespeople are going to be salespeople. You, if you're managing the client and selling them, you probably do this too. A client asks you a question that's going to tip them over the fence to buy. They say like, oh, Mr. Agency Owner, can I get unrealistic result in unrealistic time frame? And you know the likelihood of that happening is like 1%, but you're just sat there going, yeah, Mr. Prospect, we can totally get that, because you just want to collect the cash, whether you like it or not. And your sales reps are going to be even worse at this than you, because they don't give a shit about what happens on the back end for the most part. So making sure that there is alignment between sales and client success is really important. Client isn't onboarded for a number of days, gets buyer's remorse and asks for a refund. So again, speed to lead, as we do with client leads and with your leads. Chances are if somebody signs up on an ad or reaches out to you to say they're interested in buying your stuff or having a sales call, you get to them as soon as humanly possible. Onboarding is no different. You need to follow the law of speed to lead, and you need to get to your clients as soon as humanly possible and launch them as soon as humanly possible. What most products are like and what most service-based businesses do is they're really good on the sales side, and it almost seems like there's a huge drop-off in the overall performance of those people as soon as the client pays money. They're kissing their ass for the entire process, from the client signing up on an ad or wanting to learn more about your stuff. Your sales team is dialed in on the follow-up process when they collect the money. The minute after the money's collected, it goes to shit. And that is why most people churn their clients very early on, or even in the onboarding process in rare scenarios. Another common pitfall I've seen is delayed value delivery. So agencies focus on long-term results, but fail to create immediate wins. One of the most important metrics in your agency is going to be time to value, and you should be tracking it religiously in your agency. Realistically, if you're offering a service like email marketing, copywriting, if you have an SMMA, like an online agency running ads for medical spas, whatever the hell the niches you're in, there's going to be a gap between when somebody pays and when they make money from you. If you've got like an ROI driven offer, which most agencies do. So you need to leverage other ways to get clients quick value. So an example of that would be in our onboarding form, whenever a new client signs up to work with us, we have one question that's helped us immensely. We ask, what are the top 3 challenges in your business right now that, if solved, would make the amount of money that you invested in our program worthwhile? And we add a subheading there that says, please note any immediate challenges that we can help you solve. So for example, if a client's struggling with sales and that's a big problem with them, we know that we can immediately help with that problem, because we can send them a bunch of sales assets. We can send them example recordings of other clients of ours that have gone through the sales process. We can show them our framework. So the time to value is going to be a lot quicker. And the sooner that you can provide value to clients, the longer they're going to stay, the happier they're going to be. Another thing is reactive communication. So when clients don't hear from you, they assume nothing is happening. And this creates anxiety and buyer's remorse. I've had it myself when I pay for something and I don't hear anything for a week. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, right? It's kind of like when you're in the airport and a flight is delayed. Although it's annoying as hell, they tell you every 10 to 20 minutes on the big announcement thing that they shout out to the entire airport. That is what you need to do in your agency. You need to over-communicate with the client. There is no such thing as communicating with the client too much. So the more that you can communicate around what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how it serves them directly, the better it's going to be. Like, for the most part, clients just want to know what's going on and that you're being busy, okay? So over-communication is key when onboarding clients, and they need to have absolute clarity on what's going on every step in the process. So now you understand why onboarding is important, how it serves you, why you need it. I now want to show you how you make it good and how you keep your clients happy. So I want to go ahead and pull this up. I've gone and broke down our exact onboarding process in our agency and how it allows us to have a really high retention rate and keep clients very happy in the onboarding process after they pay. So you've got first thing, which is day 0. This is when the client is being closed by the sales rep or by you. Again, all of this is contextual on the size of your agency. For me, we've got a number of different positions that you might not have, such as sales reps, client success, marketing managers, tech people, media buyers. If you don't have all of those things, I'll break down at each step who's going to be doing that. So for example, here, if you have a sales rep, that's obviously going to be the person that is selling the client. If you don't have one, it's probably going to be you. So this is day 0. The salesperson collects payment and signs someone up on the program. And at the end of every sales call, what we have the sales rep do is run the client through our post-sale presentation. So if I just give you like a high-level snippet as to what this looks like, at the end of every sales call, they run through this to give the client clarity on what the next steps look like. What we don't want is for us to collect the money and then us just go to the client, yeah, we'll be in touch soon, see you later, because then the likelihood of them that same day being like, what the fuck is going on, and asking for a refund is going to be very high. So we explain to them, here's what's going to happen to avoid delays. You're going to sign the contract, fill out the onboarding form, you're going to give us access to your Facebook, and you're going to book your onboarding call. Then here's what we're going to do on the onboarding call, here's what to expect in the first 90 days, and that's it. Like, pretty damn simple. And then what we also have is we have like a framework at the end of our sales process called the post-sale script, where we go through and we educate them on the next steps of the process. So we go now super quick before I let you go and connect with your patient generation specialist, which is a sexy way of saying your client success manager. I just want to run you through a few quick action items so we can hit the ground running and don't have any delays with launching our system. Is that cool? Awesome. So main 2 pieces we need you to complete ideally right after this call, if not as soon as you can, is onboarding form agreement. For you, you just insert the things that you need the client to complete in order to initiate the onboarding. The onboarding form should take you no longer than 15 to 20 minutes, and it's just to make sure that my team has absolutely everything they need to know about your office so they can start mapping out your implementation pathway to get to insert goal. If you haven't heard of this term, implementation pathway, basically a sexy way of saying you are here, current state, you want to get to desired state, they're at 10K, they want to get to 100K. The implementation pathway is how we're going to bridge that gap and how we solve that problem, right? Because essentially, whenever a client pays you, they're paying you to solve a problem that they do not have confidence in themselves to solve, or they don't have the time to solve it, or they would rather pay with time than money. That is literally it. Or money than time, sorry. And then obviously the agreement is pretty self-explanatory. It covers our back and covers yours. So if you can get these done ASAP, you will automatically be sent to a page to schedule your kickoff call where you'll meet your patient generation specialist. Keep in mind, they may call you prior to the call, depending on how quick you are. And again, the reason why this is so important is because we do have a pipeline of insert niche, a pipeline of clinics, business owners, agencies, whoever the hell you work with that are joining our program and have a little bit of a waiting list because we only take on insert amount of clients per sprint. So we can really personalize everything in the onboarding process and you get the one-to-one support you need. And I just want to make sure that it doesn't delay your kickoff process. Sound good? Awesome. Now, John, just because a big thing for me is making sure I really set you up for success in our program, can you give me 100% commitment that you can get that done today? Awesome. Then you wrap up the call. We always end any engagement with a client when we need them to complete any homework or any tasks with a specific deadline. Because if you just tell a client, yeah, Stacey, can you get that done? Yeah, I'll get it done. And then they never get it done, right? Have a specific tight deadline that they need to follow through with. So we get commitment that they can get it done by the end of the day so we can get them live as soon as possible. Number one, that means there isn't going to be any delays and they're going to blame it on us when in reality it was on them. And number two, the sooner we can launch a client, the quicker we can make money from them because we actually bill our clients as soon as they go live. So it's a win-win situation. So that's the first piece. Now, as soon as the client is signed, we have the closer complete what I call a new client form. So what this looks like is the following. There's a number of different pages, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Essentially, they're submitting the Fathom call transcript. If you don't know what Fathom is, it's a call recording tool. You can type in on Google Zoom call recording software, and there's like hundreds of them, so just use one of those. And once that is filled, what happens is it triggers a series of automations. Number one, we have ChatGPT summarize the call and give the client success manager, the person that's going to be managing the client, the key client information. So it has like 5 bullet points on like Stacey wants to go from 10 to 100K. They're struggling with X, Y, and Z. Her biggest pain point right now or struggle is Y, etc., etc. It then adds them to our project management onboarding board. So we use a project management tool called Monday. There's a bunch of them. There's ClickUp, there's fucking Asana, there's Trello. There's so many different project management tools that you can use. I just personally like Monday, and that's what we're with. So it adds them there. So we have an organized and systematized way of keeping track of all the clients, especially if in some months we're signing over 30 clients in a month. It can get really crazy. So we need to make sure that we have a centralized dashboard and way of managing all of those clients in one place so they don't slip through the cracks. It then automatically sends the client a welcome text from the CSM with the onboarding form attached. So it sounds like it's from the CSM. A cool little thing that we added in here is we say, hey, it's CSM name, super excited to have you in the program. We send the text. We go, I'm going to go ahead and text you from my personal cell so you can contact me at any time. And then what we do is we text them from a separate phone number, which is routed directly to our client success team. Small psychological hack, but it makes it seem way more personalized that way when the CSM is messaging them directly from their personal phone, even though it's automated, right? And then what it does is it creates the client Slack channel and sends them their contracts. Now, this is going to be contextual on what communication platform you use with your clients, whether it's email, whether it's Slack, whether it's WhatsApp. All of them work. I really like Slack because that's where we communicate internally with our team. So we just find it easier to put everything in one place. And you can automate it, which is great. So after that point, same day, the client success manager is going to be notified of the client signing up. This is where the CSM is going to call the client, welcome them into the program. And the most important point when it comes to the CSM calling the client is congruency. They don't want to call and be like, oh, so what's your goals, John? Oh, what are your problems? it should sound like they have already spoken to the sales rep. This is why the sales rep puts in the Fathom transcript, the transcript of the sales call that they had, so we can create congruency. So then the CSM can look at the key bullet points that ChatGPT has summarized from that call and said, here's the 5 key bullet points that you need to know about this client. And then when they call the client, they're using that to create congruency. So it sounds like we've already spoken internally and we're very, very quick and on the ball. So this is very, very important. And again, speed to lead is key here. And on that call, the goal is making sure that we can book their onboarding call, set the right expectations, and build the foundation of the initial relationship with the client. And then on that call, framework is very simple. We essentially just welcome them to the program, say the CSM introduces themselves. We talk about the specific concerns and goals mentioned in the new client information. We answer questions, then go into expectations. We get confirmation that they complete the things we need to complete before the onboarding call. And that's pretty much it. We just set them off on the right foot and get them excited for the engagement. Then, between then and the onboarding call, which is typically scheduled within 48 hours, again, speed to lead. We want to get the client launched as soon as humanly possible, ideally within 3 to 4 days. The client completes the onboarding form, signs the contract. Oh, spelling error. Completes the onboarding form, signs the contract, and books their onboarding call. On that onboarding call, this is where we go through the following. Pre-call steps that the client success manager completes. Make sure the contract's signed. They read through the client's onboarding form submission. So we have another automation that fires off that when the client submits their onboarding form, it creates their account in Go High Level with our snapshot. If you're not familiar with what a snapshot is, it's basically a templated CRM with automations, with our pipeline, with our sales funnels that we're going to run for our clients. So instead of us having to manually recreate that every single time a client signs up, as soon as the onboarding form's filled, it's already plugged and played and ready to go. And it just pulls in all the onboarding form information into the client's account. So everything is already filled and completed. And if you're using Go High Level, which is a CRM that most agencies use in the SMMA and online agency space, you can create custom values. And custom values basically can be filled in for each individual client and then completed within the account. So you can have a template and you just swap out the custom value. So it's really cool and it saves a lot of time. This also pulls in all their onboarding information into our project management tool, which is Monday. And then finally, the CSM is going to reread keynotes from the sales call to make sure that, again, there is congruency between the call. Now, on this call, there's really 4 main goals, which is pretty similar to what I mentioned about the entire onboarding process. Establish leadership. Make sure that they have confidence that you know what you're talking about and they don't see you as a bitch, because there's been a lot of people in the past that have came to me and said, like, the clients are walking all over me. They treat me like shit. A lot of the time, there's going to be one of 2 reasons. Number one, it's just a difficult client. You're always going to get those. The law of large numbers. I don't know why the hell that thumb up just popped up, but the law of large numbers, the more clients you have, the more pain in the arse clients you're going to get. Or the other reason is you didn't establish leadership correctly. So establishing leadership and positioning yourself as the person that can help them solve their problem is huge. Building your implementation pathway, so mapping out from A to Z how they're going to get from where they are now to where they want to get to. What we're going to do in terms of running the ads, generating the leads, or copywriting, email marketing, whatever the hell you're doing for your clients, and what they're going to do. Whether you have a sales training program they need to go through, whether they need to attend live trainings that you have within your program or go through specific course content, all of those things. That's what the implementation pathway is. Build a meaningful relationship with the client. So rapport building is not important in the sales process. It is important in the onboarding process. So we actually have our CSMs before the onboarding call go in and do their due diligence on the client. They look at their Instagram, their Facebook, their LinkedIn, whatever the hell they're on, because we want to create congruency, right? If we see a client's running an event, they've just got a new treatment in their office, they've like whatever the hell's going on in their life, if we tie back to that, it shows that we've done our due diligence and we can actually relate and resonate with that client. And again, when it comes to retaining clients, there's really 2 things that you can stand on, or 2 legs, as I like to see it. It's kind of like a 2-legged table. Number 1 is results, and number 2 is relationship. And results aren't always controllable if you're doing local lead gen or lead gen as a whole, or any like online marketing, copywriting. But what is something that you can always control is the relationship. So we want to build a meaningful relationship and build strong rapport. And then finally, we complete the kickoff form. Now, a kickoff form for us is the internal onboarding form. Client's going to fill out the onboarding form, but some of the information is probably going to be generic. Like 50% of clients fill it out in the wrong way. So we have an internal form that we call our kickoff form, which the CSM is going to fill out on the onboarding call to revalidate and clean up all of the information from the onboarding form that the client filled out. And the client should leave the onboarding call thinking, I understand the constraints in my business and see the path to success. So you should give them clarity on that call. I really like who I'm working with. I have full confidence these guys can help me, aka they know they're in the right place and they truly believe that you guys are the best people to help them solve their problem, whatever the problem is that you're solving, whether it be lead gen, whether it be poor copywriting, whether it be them not being able to close, whatever the hell your offer is. and I know exactly what to do in the next 7 days before my launch call. And again, this ties back to mapping out the client's implementation pathway. Now, I'm not going to run through each individual step. Actually, maybe I will. On the call, we go through 13 steps. We give the client clarity on problems and solutions. So we review their onboarding form and we map out where they're at, where they're trying to get to. We address their biggest problems, what their future problems might be, and we address every single solution to those problems. This is where we give clarity and we establish leadership, and we give them confidence that we can help them. We then go through a quick onboarding presentation and we go through this with the client. This is very generic. It literally just goes over who we are, what we do, how we can help them. Then step 3, we get the agreement signed. Step 4, we complete the kickoff form, which is just confirming basic business information. Step 5, we get them in our communication platform. For us, this is Slack, whatever that is for you. Make sure that they're in it, explain the importance of it. Whenever we're explaining Slack, sometimes you get a little bit of resistance on the onboarding call. So the way that I explain it is I go, so have you ever heard of Slack before, John? Yeah, so Slack is essentially WhatsApp on steroids for business. So the reason that we use Slack as opposed to email or WhatsApp is because, number one, it gives us quicker feedback loops as opposed to you waiting 48 hours in response time for an email, because nobody likes email communication, whether we like it or not. And the second reason is you're not only going to have access to me or whoever your client success manager is, you're also going to have access to our entire fulfillment department. So you're going to have access to our copywriting specialists, our email marketing department, our copywriters, our tech specialists. Anything and everything that you need, we're going to have somebody on our team that's going to be able to help you solve that problem. Does that make sense? Awesome. So John, that being said, do I have 100% commitment that you can use that to make sure that you can communicate with us and we have quick feedback loops and we're really setting you up for success? Awesome. Step 6, we get access to any additional assets we need. So in my case, because I run a Facebook ad agency, we get their Facebook business manager. If you're a copywriting agency, you might want to get access to their website. If you're an email marketing agency, you get access to their domains, whatever the hell it is that you need to get, the basic tech stack information. Then we get them logged into our CRM and we integrate their calendar because we have a done for you agency. We book our clients' leads. So if you're doing that, then you want to make sure that's connected. We then get client content and assets. So for you, that might be any pictures, videos, whatever the hell it is you're doing. Step 9, we get existing clients to run a reactivation campaign. This is another way that we get quick wins for our clients. So we run what we call a fast cash play. It's a sexy way of saying we get their existing client base that may not be working with them anymore. We get them, we create a custom text blast message that we can reach out to them with. And the minute that onboarding call ends, as soon as possible, we're going to go in and we're going to blast all of those leads. We're going to call the people that respond positively and we're going to book them in for an appointment. That process can work for nearly any and every agency, and it's a very easy way of getting quick wins for your clients instead of waiting 7, 10, 14, 30 days for a client to get a lead from ads, whether it be Google, Facebook, somebody who reads the copy on the emails that you're creating, whatever it is. Step 10, we educate them on our sales training and get commitment for them to go through it. We found a direct correlation between the clients that go through our training and attend our live calls that we host weekly with our best clients and with me as well, and our CS team, and the ones that stay the longest, because it decreases time to value. It doesn't just make them reliant on the tangible things, which is how many leads are you getting, how many bookings are you getting, how much money have you made, but also the additional intangible things, which is how much have you learned in the program? Did I break any beliefs for you? Did it really help and serve you in the sales process? And even with the leads that we didn't bring you, the people coming in the office, can we at least help increase your close rate? So that's why that's important for us. We then set projections with the client on what's a realistic ROI. We find that a lot of clients come in with a very skewed perception on what's realistic. So we have a really fancy calculator that we can literally put in how much they're spending, what offer they're going to be running that we create for them, and then it reverse engineers down to the dollar amount and the date, how much they can actually make with us, and then we get commitment from them. John, are we 100% clear that this is what success looks like? So we're on the same page as the client, and we don't get to the end of the first month and they're like, oh, I thought I was going to make like 100K. And you're like, John, what the hell? Why the hell would you make 100K in a month? Who do you think I am? Like Father Christmas? Like what the fuck? So that's why we do this piece, and it's been incredibly helpful for us in the retention process. And then step 12, we push for upsells. So we try and upsell them on SEO, chat widget, any additional things that we can do, and we offer them a 30-day trial. And then step 13 is we book the launch call. Rule of thumb when managing clients is you always want a BAM fam. I got this from Hamosi, and I think it's incredibly helpful. Book a meeting from a meeting. You should never leave an engagement with a client or a conversation with a client without next knowing when your next touch point is going to be. So always BAM fam. Book a meeting from a meeting. Okay. So that's probably like the biggest piece of the puzzle in onboarding, to be honest. And if you want a video of me breaking down like a live onboarding call, like the exact process that we follow, the systems we use, the projection setting sheet, just let me know and I can make it. So then from this point, from the onboarding call to our team going in and setting everything up on the back end, this is what the client success does. They send off and approve all final onboarding information, and then there is an automated task created for tech and media to onboard them with a step-by-step guide on what to do. And if we just zoom out here a second, if you don't have client success people or sales reps and you're the one selling the clients and managing them, everything up to this point is going to be you. You are wearing all of the hats, my friend. We've all been there. So next step is the post-onboarding call. This is where we onboard the client. So after this point, CSM is going ahead and filling out the final information. It then, in our case, notifies our team in Slack and Monday, which is our project management tool, whatever tool you use, immediately after the onboarding initiation form is filled. The reminder is pushed 3 days and 1 day before the launch call date to prevent onboarding information not being completed on time. So we have 2 different roles in our team that are responsible for back-end onboarding. We have the tech specialist and the media buyer. Tech specialist is going to do things like getting their phone number verified, adding them to sheets, personalizing their automations, configuring their calendars, building out their sales funnel, setting up their scripts for our call center to call the leads. And the media buyer is setting up their ads, ad copy, pixel setup, the creative, all of that stuff. So that's pretty much what they do, and they should be able to get that done within 24 to 48 hours, depending on how many onboardings that they have throughout that process. Okay. Now, one thing I do want to zoom out on here super quick is from the onboarding call to the launch call, which is the call that we take just before our clients goes live, we follow a onboarding to launch messaging cadence. And the reason that we do this is because, again, tying back to over communicating with the client. So if I just give you an example of what this looks like within our agency, we have, for example, on day 1, we send this message. Hey, John, it's CSM here. Just wanted to say I'm excited to start with you and your company. I spoke to Closer and listened to the call that you had with him to get caught up. I'm going to spend a few hours today and do some research and start putting together an action plan for us. If there's anything you need in the meantime, just shoot me a message here. And then we're going to check to see if they booked an onboarding call. And we're doing this all the way from day 2 to day 3 to day 5, all the way up to day 6 before the launch call, and then day 8, the day we go live. Okay. Communication is very key. I wouldn't even try or bother on automating this. Just have the CSM do it. There's things that make sense to onboard, like automate. There's things that don't. You want to do them manually. So that process is taking place from the minute the onboarding call ends to the minute that the launch call initiates. So we're communicating with the client throughout that entire 4 to 5 day window. Okay. Then after all that information is complete, client success on day 5 most times is going to approve the funnel, the ad campaigns, all of the assets that we've created. For you, it might be the copywriting expert or the CSM going in and approving all of the copy. The reason that we have the client success manager do this is because they have the most context on the client. There might be somebody that has more context on how to set up Facebook ads, like a media buyer, but they weren't the one that has actually met the client, understand their needs, understand their personality type. There's going to be certain clients that are going to be a little bit picky. For example, we get some clients that don't want to run any image ads, and the only person that really has context on that is going to be the CSM, unless they really communicate every single intricacy and detail to the entire team. So they do 2 things at this point. They complete all of the final checks on the following, the ads, the sales funnels. Again, this is all contextual based on what assets you create for the client. And then they either submit revisions onto Monday for the tech and media team to make or approve both assets ready for the launch call. Okay. And then finally, they send a final reminder to the client of the launch call to make sure they've completed their homework. And it also avoids delays in the process. So if we didn't get an asset on an onboarding call with the client, we will then request it before that call just to make sure that we have everything we need. Then from that point, day 6 is the launch call. One final thing on this. We also check in to make sure they've been through our sales training, that they've attended any live trainings that we've took place with throughout the process from onboarding to launch as well, because we want to make sure that we can squash the gap between time to value. So that is the quickest way to do so for us personally. Day 6 is the launch call. So difference between onboarding call and launch call. Onboarding call, we get everything we need. We initiate the relationship. We build trust. We build conviction. We build leadership or establish leadership. Launch call is where we set expectations. We prepare them for the worst case scenario. So if the worst case scenario does arise, meaning they don't get like a lead in a month or something ridiculous, they make $0, they have that expectation in mind. We show them the assets we created in the last 7 days so we can get it approved and make sure that we're being 100% transparent with our clients. And then we book their first check-in meeting 7 days after launch. Bam, fam, bam, fam, bam, fam. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Then from that point, the final step in the onboarding process for us is final checks and go live. We used to have a big problem, and I know a lot of agencies do, because a lot of clients that churn other agencies and come to us, I say, what's the biggest reason you're coming to us? Or like, what's the reason that you weren't with your other agency? They were like, they just kept making so many mistakes. There was so many problems. We onboarded, the ads were wrong. They had somebody else on the ads that wasn't us. There's so many problems. So what we do at this step is we have our marketing manager who manages fulfillment for our clients do a final check on the ads, the funnels, the phone number verification, that they're on all sheets, that their payments are set, and then they launch the client. And the reason behind this is to eliminate any room for error in the onboarding with tech and ad tasks to make sure everything is aligned with the client's branding, needs, and wants. So again, if you don't have a marketing manager, this might be your media buyer. It might be you. And then as you continue to hire in your agency, you can start to slowly delegate throughout this process as shown. So I hope this was helpful. Again, if you want to see the more in-depth breakdown of how we do this with call recordings, you want the downloads to all the automations we use, and you want to have an actual in-depth breakdown of each individual step, go ahead and click the link below. I do have something to sell you, and it's essentially where you can license my entire agency infrastructure. You'll have hundreds of call recordings, SOPs, etc., etc. So if you want to learn more about that, book a no obligation call with me. It will be with me, not with a sales rep, and I look forward to seeing you then. Love you. Bye.